Good afternoon, everybody. We're going to be going live in 1 minute. Good afternoon. Welcome to our webinar, and thank you for joining us. Today's webinar is actually part of a series. It's called Grade 12 Redefined with the American GED. My name is Sean Swartz. I am the CEO of SK Education Solutions. SK Education Solutions is the official office of the GED in Namibia, in South Africa, and throughout Africa. So you are watching the correct people to learn everything that you need to about the GED. We are live on YouTube, and we have made the comments facility available for you to post your questions. So please feel free to type your questions in the comments facility. We will be monitoring these questions, and we will try our best to ensure that our expert panelists answer your question. A very special welcome to all our prospective GED students and parents out there. Just some background information. The GED, what is it? So the GED test makes it possible for you to earn the equivalent of a secondary school leaving certificate. And how does that help you? Well, it can help you find employment or access to further study. It was created way back in 1942 as a second chance opportunity for US soldiers coming back from the war. But today, more than 20 million people have done their GED and graduated. There are a huge amount of countries, and that's over 90 countries, that recognize and accept the GED. So when you do get a GED, it is internationally recognized. We have quite a few very special guests with us today. First is Monia Gous. Monia is both an accountant as well as an educator. She holds a Bachelor of Education degree and has been involved in education for a very long time. Joining Monia are two of her GED students. Monia and her GED students will be staying online to answer any of your questions after we have chatted to them. These two students have agreed to share their GED experiences with us. So feel free to type your questions in the comments facility. We will be monitoring these questions, and we will try our best to ensure that we get to all your questions. Don't forget to like this video and also subscribe to our channel so that you can stay up to date with all things GED related. To kick things off, I'm going to ask you, Monia, why don't you start off by briefly introducing yourself to our audience?
Okay, so my name is Monia. I have to apologize, my camera is not working. I started homeschooling about 25 years ago to get better opportunities for my own children. And then along the way, we had different systems that we looked into. And then about 2020, we found the GED. We could have done it sooner. I don't know why not, but it's a very, my kids love the GED. It's a very user-friendly system. And from there on, I just told every Namibian that wants to know how to get better grades in grade 12, have a second opportunity, old and young, do the GED. It's a very nice, very user-friendly, very flexible system.
Okay, thank you, Monia. I really appreciate that introduction. I think saying that it's very flexible really summarizes the GED really, really well. It's flexible in multiple ways, and I'm just going to mention why it's flexible before we even get to our special guest. And it's flexible for multiple reasons. Reason number one, simply because you can write exams all year round. You can start studying whenever you're ready, and you can write exams whenever you're ready. You don't have to wait for a particular time of the year to write an exam. You can write exams whenever you're ready. So you can, and because of that, most students only study one subject at a time. So they'll start with one subject and they'll study it. And when they're ready, they'll just book to go and write that exam. They'll pass that exam and then they're done with it and they can move on to the next subject. And once you've passed all 4 exams, you're a GED graduate. You'll receive your diploma from the Department of Education in Washington, D.C. in the United States of America. It's the same GED diploma that every single other person in the entire world receives, and it's recognized at the same level, which means that you are getting an internationally recognized high school leaving diploma. So that's I think is very, very important. Another guest that I would like to introduce before we get going is Lindsay Calder. So Lindsay has worked in the education industry for the last 17 years with a very, very special focus on international qualification, the GED being one of these qualifications. And before Lindsay joined the GED over 7 years ago, it might even be 8 years ago now, she worked for Cambridge schools, for Pearson, as well as City and Guild, which are all international qualification awarding bodies. So we are talking to the right people over here. So Lindsay, thank you also for joining us. So our 2 very special guests are Velo and Sylvia. If I can ask both of you just to unmute yourselves so that we can have a great chat here. So ladies first, Sylvia, let's just start with you. Can I ask you, just briefly, can you tell us why you chose the GED in the first place?
I chose the GED because I want to get my grade 12, and my work and my school wasn't coming together because the normal schools that we have in Namibia, it requires you to be in class at a specific time, which wasn't corresponding with my work. So a client of mine referred me to Miss Monia, and that's how I joined the GED.
Well, that's really, really interesting. And I think it's a great point that you're making, is that even though you may be older than school going, there's nothing stopping you from getting your grade 12. However, obviously, as you said yourself, the only way currently without the GED is to actually attend a school, but you're working, you can't attend a school. And so the GED is definitely a wonderful way of getting a grade 12 equivalency. So well done to you for taking that step of working towards your GED. And Velo, before we continue with questions to Sylvia, do you want to tell us why you chose the GED?
Yes, I chose the GED because I found it more flexible and easier. I mean, the system is friendly, like Miss Monia said. Everything is on there. Everything that you need to pass your exams is there. So I decided to join the GED because I wanted to try out something new, something that would work for me, that I know it would.
Okay, that's definitely a very good reason to join the GD. So thank you for that explanation. Just a reminder to everybody, you are more than welcome to ask us questions. Please type them in, whether it's a question for me, for Lindsay, for Monia, for Sylvia, for Vila, it doesn't really matter. Just type your comments, say who the question is for, and we will direct your questions to the correct person in the next couple of minutes. But let's continue. Sylvia, let me ask you a question. What do you think makes the GED different from other curriculums that are available in Namibia?
GED is different basically with, to me, it's different in sense of the time friendliness. You can study whatever time or whatever day you are free to study. You study at your own pace. And then at the same time, the world is now advancing into technology. That means with GED, you are forced to also know how to use your electronic device that you are basically using. Like for me, I am now learning how to type on my laptop with GED. So in short, if it wasn't for GED, I wouldn't know how to use a computer in a beneficial manner, the way I'm using it now.
I think that's a great answer. And essentially what you're saying as well is that the GED is preparing you for the future. It's not just educating you and giving you a high school diploma. It's also giving you skills that you need for the future. And one of those skills is critical thinking skills, because the GED, I'm sure Sylvia and Vilo, you've both noticed that you cannot learn things off by heart to pass the GED test. You just will not pass. You have to think critically. So Lindsay, maybe let's jump straight to you now. And do you want to talk a little bit around critical thinking skills and why they're so important for the future, and how Sylvia and Vilo are benefiting from those skills?
Thanks, Sean. Yeah, and very much so. Is what makes the GED different is that it's not pure rote learning. So the students have to be able to understand the concepts that they've studied and apply them in various situations. And that's really how life is today, and work and university is. You can't just parrot learn to prepare for life. It's very much understanding knowledge and being able to apply them within situations, as well as, if we take, for example, English, it's argumentative essay. It's being able to evaluate both sides of an opinion and argue which one is the strongest. So it's really helping you think out of the box. And that's why we find GED students do so well, either further studies or later in life, is because they've already acquired those skills, those critical thinking skills, which make them so successful later in life.
Yeah, I think that hits the nail on the head, especially the fact that if you want to study further, and I hope Vilo and Sylvia will both decide to study at a university after graduating with a GED, but at university level, it's all about critical thinking. I was even chatting to a registrar of one of the private universities or private colleges in South Africa recently, and they were saying that there's two skills that first-year students are always struggling with. The first one is reading and comprehension skills, and the second one is critical thinking skills. So firstly, they actually work hand in hand. But secondly, GED students definitely have an advantage over other students simply because they have been taught how to use and how to think critically. So Velo, let me ask you a question. I guess it's a personal question, but do you find the GED difficult?
I really don't find it difficult because everything is well explained. Everything is there. The only way let's say I cannot find it difficult, but let's say I can go to a certain unit or topic where I get a bit confused for a minute, but I go back. So that's one of the benefits of doing GED, because you are able to go back to the unit, redo the unit and understand it. So I don't find it difficult.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point. The fact that when you're learning, it's very flexible. And if you don't understand what the teacher said, you can rewind and play that video again until you do understand the concept. So that is a huge advantage of studying online using the learning material rather than learning in a classroom. Because in a classroom, you have to put up your hand. But there's 50 other children in the classroom. The teacher can't get to everybody's question. So I think that's a great point. And thank you. So you sounds like you're doing really nicely in your GED. And so far you're not finding anything too difficult, I hope. Let's stay with you, Velo, and ask you another question. What do you enjoy most about the GED?
Okay, what I enjoy most about the GED is it's more like, let's say I happen to do a certain topic, and let's say I have to ask questions. I don't understand, let's say, for example, all I have to do is get the question and send it on the GED support group, where we have our teacher, Miss Monya, and other students. So all I have to do is pose the question, and immediately students and Miss Monya and other teachers will answer back to me. So I enjoy that very much, because I mean, I'm getting support from everyone, which boosts me every single day.
Oh, that's wonderful to hear. That's excellent. Very good. Sylvia, what do you want to do when you finish and graduate and get your GED diploma? What are your plans?
I want to continue studying. I'm hoping I will find another college or further education that is the same as GED. In that way, I can continue with my work, and then I can continue with studying. Most definitely, when you start with the GED at my age, you get to be boosted to go like, if I can do this one, then I can still do other more to come.
Well, I can give you the answer right now. There's a university in America called the University of the People. Lindsay, maybe you can just post the link to the University of the People on the YouTube chat. So the University of the People works very similar to the GED. It's online. You study online. You do all your assessments online. And then you get a degree from the University of the People, which is an American university, which is incredible. It's highly accredited. And believe it or not, the cost of the University of the People is probably very similar to any other public South African or Namibian university. It works really, really well. We've got no affiliation with them whatsoever. We just really love what they do, and so we recommend them. They have over 200,000 students every single year doing degrees with them. There's a whole range of degrees, and so I highly recommend that you investigate them. Also, as I said, from a cost perspective, you actually only pay them as you study. You don't have to pay everything up front, which is a really nice thing as well. So the University of the People is your, I guess, your higher education or your university study option that's similar to the GED that I would recommend afterwards. And I think it's wonderful that you are considering doing a GED and then afterwards doing a degree that can even further your studies, because once you have the GED and a degree, the opportunities, the work opportunities are endless. You'll just be able to do really, really well in the corporate world. So well done to you. Vilo, what about you? What are you planning on doing after you finish your GED and pass all 4 exams?
After I pass my GED, I'm planning on studying further to achieve a bachelor in journalism.
Oh, very nice.
Yes.
That's great. So you enjoy writing and English skills. That's
Yes.
excellent. Well, you're in good hands. Lindsay can tell you all about that as well. Okay, so so far, let me ask you, Vilo, how have you found the whole GED learning experience? Has it been seamless? The online learning, your groups that you chat to, the exams, the support that you get from the GED. How have you found all of it?
I find it very nice because it's rare to find such support in this world. I mean, before I joined GED, I was at like a Namibian school, a normal school. I wasn't in homeschool. So I'm actually grateful for all the support that I'm getting. I'm getting more, which is actually good. And I'm getting it at an affordable price, unlike at another school. So this support that I'm getting, I'm actually happy, and yeah.
Great. And what about you, Sylvia? How are you finding it?
I'm finding it very, very good. It's good. The GED group, the WhatsApp group, has a way of tempting someone. For example, there are those days where you just don't feel like studying, or you just don't feel like pushing. And then you get this kind of notification where somebody's being congratulated, they passed. And then you go like, you know what, let me go to my books. Like literally every time you get to like now I'm doing English. So you get to the essay part, and then you go like, this, no. And then you shut down your computer, and then your phone goes like, beep, beep, congratulations. And then it goes like somebody passed. You go like, let me go back, because I also want my name to appear when I'm done with a certain subject. And on the other hand, it's like sometimes you get to have questions, or you don't understand something, and then you go like, no, let me not ask. Maybe it's a silly question to ask. And then 2 minutes later, somebody pops up with the same question, and then it goes like, oh, so I'm not the only one. So you start to interact, and I think we have a support group. I love the support group that is on the group, because it's if Miss Monia is not there to respond, one student or whoever is on the group will respond. Like, we are just there to help each other, and it's very, very nice.
That's really great. It sounds wonderful. What we also have done, there's another group, a general chat group for the GED as well on Facebook. We've just put the link on the YouTube channel. We highly recommend that you follow that. There are more than 13,000 GED students from all over the world that participate in this group. And also, you can ask any question that you want. There's always somebody that's answering it. And there's always people saying, I just passed my specific exam. So it will give you lots of motivation to study further. And to keep studying. So just keep at it. Just well done. Sylvia, if we continue with you, if you had to explain the GED to somebody in one sentence, how would you do that?
I normally do that. I always tell them it's a wonderful school. It's a free. It's I don't know. I don't say it in English, but in English I can say it's just a wonderful school. It's a free space. It's a free paced school. You study at your own time, and it's great. It's just very wonderful.
Flexible. The GED is
Yes.
flexible. Good.
Yes.
And Vilo, what about you? How would you describe the GED if somebody asked you?
I would tell them that the GED, it's very nice because the GED is not about, it's not about testing you on how fast you are. It like teaches you to understand and analyze the questions so that you can answer them correctly. And I would tell them all the advantages and the benefits. Like, for example, one, you do it at your own time, which is very good. And two, you are once, let's say for an example, let's say you didn't make it so good in one subject, you are able to retake the subject, not repeat it, retake it. Unlike normal school, where you have to redo it the whole year, you have to start from scratch. So I would tell them the good things that come with GED.
Thank you, Vilo. Monia, I'm coming to you now. Monia, what advice do you have for parents that are considering the GED for their children?
Well, I advise everybody to take the GED. It is compatible in Namibia also with the Cambridge. So many of our students do the GED, and they start writing the exams when they're 17 and finishing it off. And then should they need it, they just take like one Cambridge subject also, and then they can find it too, and they can go literally anywhere in the world to go and study. It's very flexible, it's user-friendly. It has accommodation functions for children who can't, like dyslexia or so, who need typists. So everything is there for a child to get as far as possible in the world with his or her talents. So yeah.
Thank you, Monia. So here's some questions that we've received. We've received questions both on email and on the YouTube comments line. So the first question is, at what age can I do the GED? Lindsay, do you want to take that answer?
Sure. So if we almost work backwards, is the GED testing age in Namibia, South Africa, and Kenya is currently 17 years of age. We generally recommend then that students start studying the GED when they're at least 16. And then there are options. There's like pre-GED bridging courses that students can do when they're 15, which really gives them the introduction to critical thinking skills and the maths. But really, you'd be looking at 16 to start the GED. And then from there on, any age, I think we've had a 70-year-old do the GED. So anyone over the age of 16, but then you can only test from the age of 17.
And the second question is why are there only 4 exams?
So there's only 4 exams, but those exams are made up of multiple subjects. So the 4 exams actually cover 8 subjects, but it's just it gives you more an overview of the subject. So if we take, for example, social studies is made up of your sorry, it's just gone on my head. Your civics and government, your history, your economics, your geography. Science is made up of your life science, your earth science, and your biology. Your maths is obviously maths. And your English, what's important with English is obviously it's your English, but it's also the argumentative essay, which Sylvia spoke about. And that really gives you great skills going forward, because you need to be able to analyze a piece of work and then argue on that.
Yeah, so it's essentially, there are approximately 8 subjects that students need to do and study, but the subjects are combined into one exam. So 3 subjects are combined into one social studies exam. And that's why there are only 4 exams, but essentially there still are 8 subjects. So Annika Berger says, will this be available to view again at a later stage? Yes, this is being recorded, and we will send out the link to the recording probably tomorrow to everybody that's signed up. So we will send out the link to the recording, and you'll be able to watch it at your leisure. Arlene says, will the GED curriculum be accepted at all universities in South Africa and Namibia?
I think I'll answer that one. So in South Africa, we'll do it country by country. So in South Africa, the GED won't necessarily be accepted for all public universities, but a lot of private universities, such as your Boston City campus, they're accepting GED students straight into degree programs. Otherwise, students can look at doing a higher certificate at NQF level 5 before progressing onto a degree program. So really look at your private tertiary institutions. In Namibia, it really depends on the institution and the faculty. So we know UNAM will accept students for certain qualifications, and then the more private universities accept GED. I'm going to also jump ahead. Is in Namibia, the Namibian Qualifications Authority, or the NQA, they evaluate the GED on an individual basis, and they evaluate the GED as being equivalent to NQF level 4. The same in South Africa for SAQA. They equate it to NQF level 4, which is a grade 12 equivalent.
Okay, so essentially, we highly recommend that you contact the university of your choice and check whether they accept the GED. But there are many opportunities to study both in South Africa, in Namibia, in Kenya, and online throughout the world, as I mentioned, also the University of the People. Another question from Aline was, is how do students transition from GED multiple choice question format to university format? Well, so firstly, the GED teaches critical thinking skills and analysis. So it's not only multiple choice, there is an argumentative essay that you need to write. So you are taught how to write very complex, detailed, critical thinking based argumentative essays. And secondly, multiple choice questions are quite complex, and in fact, most of the time, even harder than written answers. And universities use both. They use essay and paragraph type answers, but they also use plenty of multiple choice type of questions, just like the GED does. So I believe that the GED is definitely preparing them for university level. Lindsay or Monia, do you either want to have other comments relating to that?
Yeah, so I mean, I'll start. I definitely agree with you. And And we've seen GED students really excel at university. I think where the difference is, I wouldn't be so worried about a student switching from the multiple choice to the university format. I would be more worried about a student who was following a curriculum that was pure rote learning, that they learned a concept and in the tests or assessments or exams had to just go regurgitate what they learned. Because the GED is teaching those critical thinking skills, and without those critical thinking skills, you're not going to pass the GED. So it really sets students up for later in life, because at university, they have to be able to read large quantities of work, analyze those quantities, and go and apply the knowledge that they've learned within situations, which is exactly what the GED is about. So it's really a continuation of the skills they learn in the GED that they then go and apply at university.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. I just want to add to that, we had quite a few kids coming over from the private school sector to the GED, and there was no adaptation problem whatsoever. And then also we had quite a lot of them then going to like Europe and go and study there with the NQA certificate attached to the GED. So we've got kids now studying in Germany, in England, in Portugal, French liaisons. So they're all over the world going with the GED, and they were accepted everywhere. The transition, there was no problem whatsoever.
Okay, thank you, Monia. I think that's really nice to hear that GED graduates are studying throughout the world. I think you already covered this, but I'm going to ask it again, and that is the GED accredited by the NQA?
So the GED itself can't be accredited by the NQA, but a student, when they complete the GED, they can submit an application to the NQA for a certificate of evaluation that gives it a local evaluation level, and the NQA does evaluate it to be equivalent to NQF level 4. At the moment, the NQA doesn't even charge for this evaluation. And then if you're applying for somewhere that requires that evaluation, you would submit your GED diploma together with your letter from the NQA.
Good. Here's a question from Marion. I would also like to know if the GED will be accepted by South African universities, or must the students do SATs as well?
So that goes back to an older rule where when University of South Africa was awarding foreign conditional exemption, that they would require the GED together with SATs. That's no longer applicable for students. I would say if you're looking at studying at tertiary institutions, start by looking at private tertiary institutions, because they're more accepting of the GED, as well as international. In just America alone, 98% of universities and colleges accept the GED. If you're looking at Australia and New Zealand, they accept the GED together with the SATs. So it really depends what you want to study, where you want to study. Should you want to study medicine or engineering, then we need to talk, because it's then a very different story.
Yeah, and I think there's no point in doing the SATs if you want to study in South Africa, because it's not going to help you get into university.
I would almost say
it's linked to the GED.
Correct. I would almost say it would be more beneficial then to do the NBT test, the National Benchmark Test, which many students who do the South African matric or the IEB grade 12, they often have to do the NBT to be accepted to university. So rather go that route. And I think GED students would do well in the NBTs, because it is a different way that they ask the questions.
Yeah. So Angie is now asking, could we please have some people on a webinar that can talk through what they have done as a GED graduate and not just as a GED student? We do apologize. We were supposed to have some graduates on this webinar. They just weren't able to attend, unfortunately. However, we have run two or three previous webinars with GED graduates, and they talk about what they have done since they completed the GED. Some of them have even graduated from university. So we do have those webinars. Lindsay, maybe in the chat you can just put a link to our blog link so that they can find those previous recordings. Excuse me. The second question is also from Angie. If my child completes the GED in South Africa and wants to study overseas, will the South African GED be sufficient to study with no bridging, etc., in the USA?
So, Angie, thanks for the questions. They're very good, actually. So yes, the answer is yes, but it would also depend on the score that you get in the GED. So if you just get 145 for all 4 tests, they're going to look at it and say, you know, those are quite low scores. If you take, for example, a student who gets 172 for all their tests, they should definitely get accepted to study at a university in America. As I said, the majority, we're looking at like 98% of American universities and colleges do accept students for the GED. We actually once ran a webinar, I think a few years ago now, Sean, but it is on that same link, where we had a webinar with several American community colleges in America, and why we actually had the webinar with community colleges as opposed to straight universities is it's a slightly cheaper way to go. So a student could do a few years at a community college and then progress onto university purely for finance reasons, or you can go straight into university. But most American universities do accept the GED for admission purposes. You just need to make sure that your score is high enough to meet the admission requirements.
And I think I just want to clarify something, because part of the question seems a little bit confusing. It says, will the South African GED be sufficient to study? Well, there's no such thing as a South African GED. The GED is international and it's identical. It doesn't matter if you get your GED in South Africa. So the GED that Sylvia and the GED that Vilo will be getting when they pass all 4 of their exams is the identical GED. The certificate looks the same, issued by the Department of Education in Washington, D.C. to every other GED graduate throughout the world. So it doesn't matter if you get it here, in Australia, in the UK, or the US. It's recognized worldwide. Lindsay, do you want to just add anything?
Yeah, definitely. And that's what makes it so unique, is that it's not that's where the international part comes from, is that it's the same tests written around the world, which also gives it its credibility, is that it's governed by international quality assurance bodies, and that you have the confidence that the test you're writing is the same quality wherever you are in the world. And that also brings in terms of if a student, we've had quite a few students move around the world during their GED studies. And as long as there's a GED accredited testing center in the country where you move to, you can continue your studies seamlessly wherever in the world you move during your studies. So there's no disruption to your studies if for any reason you have to move.
Thank you. I also want to clarify the question relating to what is the cost. So the cost of each exam to write the final exam, and there's four exams, each one costs $80. That's $80 US. You only have to pay for it when you book. So when Sylvia is ready to book her exam, she's going to go onto the GED.com website. She's going to log in. She's going to choose Namibia. She's going to choose the testing center. She's going to choose the date, and she's going to choose the time that she wants to write her exam. She will then pay the $80, and then she'll be booked. And she will then be able to go and write the exam. And within a couple of hours, she will get her results, and she will know whether she passed or failed immediately. She doesn't have to wait weeks and weeks to find out if she passed or failed. Now, that cost doesn't cover the cost of helping Sylvia or Villa or any other student prepare for their exam. So they still have to study. How do they prepare for their exam? And so there are multiple ways of preparing for the exam. It really depends how you want to prepare, if you want to do it by yourself or if you need tutor support or whatever it might be. So if you contact us on info@ged.org.za. That's info@ged.org.za. If you email us, we will very happily refer you to a college that makes most sense for you, depending on your specific requirements. As Lindsay said, and I would guess that this applies to both South Africa and to Namibia, if you're looking at studying engineering, or if you're looking at studying medicine or something else medically related, there's probably not much of a chance of getting accepted into a university to do that. Definitely not in South Africa. So if you're planning on doing medicine or engineering, the GED is not an option for you. Universities, and I see a question here, universities require 5 subjects, but the GED only has 4. Lindsay, you've answered this question a million times. Do you want to take that one?
Sure. So we've actually, we've met with multiple universities in both South Africa and Namibia, and it's really about educating them on the content of the GED curriculum. So it would come down to, I would speak to the International Admissions Office at the university, because I know they say they need 5 subjects, but when you are able to speak to them and say that you're doing the GED, if you ever need support materials from us to send to the university or to educate the university, we always meet with the universities. It's more about educating them on the content of the GED. How it's been evaluated in America. So yeah, so I know a lot of admission forms say it needs 5 subjects, but you need to speak to the International Admissions Office at the institution, because the requirements then will be different for different curriculums, depending what you're using to apply.
Yep, that's exactly right. Thank you. One final question. I see with respect to admission age, the GED allows completion at the age of 17. Would my child have to wait until the following year when he's 18 before he can study at a South African university, or can he study at the age of 17?
I don't believe they've got a minimum 18 age requirement. It's more a minimum qualification requirement to enter. So you should be able to apply on completion of the GED, but there's so many universities, the best is to check directly with the institution. But I don't think that there is a minimum age. I mean, obviously you're not going to have a 12-year-old go to university. Well, they can't do the GED at 12. But I mean, if I look back many moons ago, I started university when I was 17, going on 18, and I don't believe the rules have changed since then.
Yeah, agreed. We've also put our website, www.ged.org.za, onto the comment facility. Go to the website. There is so much information over there. So please feel free to look it up. If you want to contact us, you can contact us on info@ged.org.za. Monia, Vilo, Sylvia, and Lindsay, thank you so much for making the time to talk to our audience and to talk to prospective GED students and to answer all our questions. I think you're doing a great job. Keep studying, keep working hard. I have no doubt you're going to do really, really well. And once you do graduate, let us know so that we can also post your photos on social media to congratulate you. So thank you so much to you and to the audience for joining us. I hope you learned something. If you have any questions, feel free to contact us. Have a wonderful day. Thank you, everybody.
Bye.